Pat, it's funny. You and I both control the Chirons.
I know.
Every once in a while, it seems that you and I go off the rails and we cannot do it at the same time. So, let's start at the high level. This goes back to a decade ago when Sun Microsystems was acquired by Oracle, which was MySQL. Since then, Oracle's kept MySQL relatively distinct. About 15 months ago, Oracle released what's called MySQL HeatWave. And it's basically the company's own optimized implementation of MySQL running on Oracle's OCI infrastructure. And for those of you not familiar, Pat and I have talked a lot about a very bullish sentiment on Oracle Cloud. This is MySQL running on Oracle's public cloud platform. And basically what happened this week is a third release of HeatWave, scaling up node size, reducing costs for certain workloads, and introducing probably what was most notable here, and that is the in-database machine learning. Our team is currently in the process of a research brief that is going to come out on this. And so, I had the chance to kind of review, break it down, and here's kind of what I think is most interesting about this particular iteration of the MySQL launch and moving into ML. First of all, they've added its native support for machine learning. It's full automation. It takes advantage of the autonomous database and technologies that Oracle has been pushing very aggressively. It's explainable AI, which is becoming an increasingly important topic right now as we're looking for more transparency. So all models in HeatWave ML are going to be explainable. They're differentiated, therefore, as well. But also probably what's going to be most attractive about it is the improved performance, the quality, repeatability of the explanations, and of course, some of the scaling. So you have things like scaling with cluster size, real-time elasticity, more data per node. So these were kind of some of the breakdowns that our team identified as key differentiators. As we went through, by the way, Oracle did a bunch of benchmarking. So I'm going to comment on their benchmarking just a little bit, but I also want to be very clear that commenting put Oracle clearly ahead of competitors, Amazon, Google, and others in this space. Having said that, these are benchmarks that could opportunistically be challenged by the other companies, Pat. But at this point, and you got to wonder, because by the way, in the second release of HeatWave, there was also some very strong benchmarking that was released, and none of the competitors have stepped up and done any benchmarking or done any have kind of publicly debated these strong numbers. So you got to wonder if Redshift or if BigQuery felt that they were able to outperform and it was going to be clearly measurable. You'd think they would have done those benchmark tests and put those into the market, and they haven't. As we sort of assessed the conclusions and recommendations, we basically found that across the Cloud DB market that the value was pretty tremendous. The price value for the technology. They had a hard to beat feature set, AutoML, scalability, real-time elasticity, the amount of data per node, and overall the portfolio-wide enhancements that they were able to do. But more so than anything, Pat, it was the price performance that we really walked away from. We also found that, the benchmarks demonstrated clear outperformance at this current time against Redshift, Snowflake, Synapse, and BigQuery. All of them, according to the data that we were able to review, were both more expensive, and none of them had the same level of performance, which we think warrants that the companies that are in review cycles right now probably need to spend some time evaluating what HeatWave is offering. And by the way, very strong. I mean, this is almost Oracle's always been a database company, Pat, but this is one of those things that's truly showing how they're taking their infrastructure and their database, the legacy and engineering prowess they've had in database for a long time, and putting it together to offer a significant differentiation in market, layering in autonomous database capabilities, competing at scale against major public cloud players, and finding something that's differentiated. So a very good release, Pat. And some pretty impressive numbers.
Good analysis there, Daniel, by the team. Our our analyst Matt Kimball wrote a note as well that I'll put in the show notes. And essentially, this is so HeatWave's incredible performance has a lot to do. That's all in memory, right? Where other solutions are spooling out back and forth to disk. So architecturally, that gives HeatWave a big advantage on performance, pretty much versus anything that touches a disk. So that doesn't surprise me. And like you said, I didn't see Oracle HeatWave competitors saying that these benchmarks were wrong either. So I think they know. And this next step, this was the first update in I think 15 months, added machine learning in the database at no extra cost. So even though Oracle is a premium provider, then being able to essentially, commoditize a machine learning is pretty fun. And whether that's, with auto ML, which is key, and that doesn't mean that it's just magic and you don't have to do anything, but auto ML makes ML a heck of a lot easier. You don't have to be necessarily a data science to have it happen. So, HeatWave ML, not only is it higher performance because you actually have the machine learning inference in the database, but it's also basically free. So once again, an architecture play on something that I think is pretty important. And if I love the idea of a premium vendor like Oracle commoditizing ML, and I know exactly who who this is targeted at. It's 100% targeted at Redshift, and how you architect Redshift and get machine learning out of that. So check out the reports from both of our companies if you want some of the gory details.